Hello, I'm Alice Slater Reynolds, the GUAA president. Welcome to the first episode of Alumni Now. The goal of this program is to keep you, our alumni, connected both in the United States and all across the world. In these episodes, we'll be sharing news from Gallaudet, current events, because we know you care about what's happening at Gallaudet, and we want you to feel connected. This program will be one of many. I have 4 people here that I would like for you to meet, starting with...
Hi, I'm David Reekers. I work in the Division of Alumni Relations and Development.
Hi, I'm Fred Weiner. I work with the President's Office in Administration and Finance.
Hello, I'm Elvia Guillermo, and I work as a coordinator in the Multicultural Student Program.
And I'm Nick Gould. I work in the Division of Alumni Relations and Development.
Wonderful! So what do you think of this program?
I think this program is excellent, especially for our international alumni who are not able to visit the campus often. This is a really nice way for them to stay connected and to be aware of current events on campus. I'm very excited.
I think this is a great idea because Gallaudet traditionally communicates with the community through text-based sources, newsletters, and our website. We know the deaf community really loves visual, interactive modes of communication, like vlogs, for example, and I think this is a great way to connect with the deaf community.
Definitely. Now, let's take a break for a special message from President Hurwitz.
Hello. I'm pleased to be part of the very first Alumni Now. When the concept for this program was proposed, we envisioned endless possibilities on how we could keep our alumni engaged, share information, and look at your accomplishments. Next year, as Gallaudet celebrates 150 years of existence, we will also celebrate 146 years of giving our alumni back to the world. As president, I have had the privilege of traveling across the United States and around the world. One of the best parts of my travels is the opportunity to meet and interact with you, Gallaudet alumni. It's inspiring to see how you have used your Gallaudet education to enhance your own lives and the lives of those in your individual communities. It really is an endorsement of the Gallaudet spirit. Gallaudet alumni are our backbone, our consistency, and our foundation. Alumni are not our past, but the path to Gallaudet's future. Therefore, we will continue to strive to find ways to reach out to you. Whether through homecoming, newsletters, or this program, the Office of Alumni Relations and the President's Office will do whatever is necessary to keep you informed on what's happening on campus, with our students, and amongst our ever-growing family of alumni. This program, Alumni Now, is not intended as one-directional. We would like you to let us know what is important to you. At the end of this program, Alice will provide an email address for you to send in your thoughts and ideas for future programs. Whether on campus or on one of my trips, I hope to have the opportunity to see many of you again and to meet some of you for the first time. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Welcome back to Alumni Now. 25 years ago, I was 11 years old. I was sitting at the dinner table with my family, and we were watching the ABC News with Peter Jennings. There was a special announcement, the week the world heard Gallaudet. Really, that was the first time I saw the campus. I sat there amazed, watching the TV and seeing all the people protesting for our civil rights. At the time, the Board of Trustees had just appointed a hearing president, and the community and students objected. There was a march and all kinds of different events happening, and the protest lasted an entire week. As a result, the board appointed our first deaf president, I. King Jordan. Over the next several weeks, Gallaudet will be holding a number of celebrations in honor of that special milestone in our history. Let's take a look at some amazing and powerful video.
I was told by Tim or somebody that you all felt that the board let you down because we didn't tell you first what the vote was. And some of them said you didn't come to the rally.
This has been a very difficult position for me. I want you to know. I regret very much that I've become any kind of focus here. I was simply a candidate for the position.
Thank you. Thank you. I am thrilled to accept the invitation of the Board of Trustees to become the president of Gallaudet University.
That was very inspiring, wasn't it? I wish I could have been there. We have with us Fred Weiner, who was involved in DPN that week. Fred, can you share some of your reflections of the week?
Every time I see that video, I have so many strong emotions about that week. What started as just a Gallaudet protest became symbolic of the civil rights for deaf people in the U.S. and across the world. It had a powerful impact. There are many things I could say about this week, but the most important is that it created what I like to call a paradigm shift for people.
Absolutely. I had a similar experience. I was in California 3,000 miles away. My friends and I were watching the protest on TV. On the first day, we weren't sure if Gallaudet was ready for a deaf president. Maybe the next president. But by the end of the week, we had shifted our thinking, and we were all for it. I'll never forget that feeling.
I think many of us have our own powerful personal stories. I have many, but there's one that stands out in my mind. I have 2 daughters who are now Gallaudet students. When the younger one was little, she came with me to campus. As we passed the statue of EMG, and it was surprising to see myself just now in that last video, I pointed to it, and I told her that was the first president of Gallaudet University. She looked at the statue for a moment, and then asked me if he was deaf or hearing. I would never have thought to ask such a question. But for someone of her age, anything is possible, and that's really one step in the right direction. David, as you mentioned, this year Gallaudet is hosting the 25th anniversary of DPN. It's an opportunity to think about what's happened, the changes that have occurred, and the implications on the future of deaf people. It's also a time for us to take a closer look at things that perhaps we haven't had the time to look at before. For example, there were some people who didn't participate, and that's very common in civil rights movements. But who? Where were they, and what were their thoughts? And the people who did participate, what do they remember? We have a semester-long series of events starting in February, and one special GUAA event that the alumni might like to know more about is on March 9th. Alice, would you like to talk more about that?
On March 9th, we're going to have a special event hosted by the GUAA. The 4 student leaders from the Deaf President Now protest will come here for a panel discussion, and we'll have an opportunity to talk with them. This will also be streamed live all over the world. Many of your chapters will be hosting an event in your area to view the live stream. So if you're interested, please contact your local chapters.
We'll be talking about several of the events that are happening, but the first one is on February 5th. We'll have a panel of the 3 deaf presidents of Gallaudet: Dr. I. King Jordan, Dr. Davila, and Dr. Hurwitz. That's on February 5th. They'll be sharing their perspectives on their role as deaf presidents of Gallaudet. There are a variety of other events, and you'll see those dates later on. We're really looking forward to the great events throughout the semester and the new and exciting information we'll be sharing. Now we're going to take a quick break, and then after the break, we'll have our first alumni profile.
Hi, welcome back. We're talking about our first alumni profile. Many of you are familiar with our first choice. It's Dr. Gerald Bummy Burstein. We are fortunate to have an opportunity to interview him recently in California. We're going to show that now.
I went to an oral school. After World War II, many soldiers and vets went to college, and it was packed in the classroom. I got lost. So my father said, "You must go." So I went to Gallaudet, entering my sophomore year in 1947. I graduated in 1950, so I studied there for 3 years. I still owe Gallaudet for what I am today. So I thought I should pay Gallaudet back. I gave $1 million to establish the Bummy Leadership Institute at Gallaudet. That money is to help other deaf people to learn about leadership, how to be involved in the community, and so on. GUAA worked with me to develop a parliamentarian process booklet. We printed 10,000 copies and distributed it to all the schools at no charge. I've given about 220 to 230 workshops to date. Altogether, I've been in the field of deaf education for 51 or 52 years. That's a long time. So the game went on, but we were surprised to find out Brooklyn lost the World Series. So a few friends said, "You're a real bum, like the Brooklyn baseball bums." Then a friend of mine corrected us and said, "Bummy is a better fit." So that name has stuck with me ever since. Many people don't know my real name, so I'm Bummy ever since to this day and night.
Everyone I know that talks about Bummy really looks up to him with a lot of care and respect. One thing Bummy didn't mention is that he was on the board of GUAA for 30 years and was the longest-serving president at 13 years. Another thing I found very interesting in my research about him is that he went to France in the 1980s and socialized with the deaf community there. While there, he noticed they applauded by waving their hands. He thought it was really cool, and when he came back to the U.S. and gave a presentation at YLC Camp, he shared that experience. YLC campers were from all over the U.S., and, after camp, they brought that form of applause back to their hometowns. By DPN, it had become more prevalent here in the U.S., and it all started because Bummy went to France. You know, I can't imagine not having deaf applause. I thought it had always been a part of our culture, but it's really only about 25 years old.
When I became a member of the board, Bummy was there as well, and we worked together for 10 years. It was amazing to work with him and benefit from the wisdom and experience he brought to the table. I look up to him very much. One of the things that really sticks with me is his tremendous love for Gallaudet. Once his term was completed, he continued to be a part of the board as the first and only GUAA Board of Directors member emeritus. And he stays connected that way. We believe he is worthy of this honor.
I remember when I received the Bummy Leadership Scholarship. I was able to participate in a leadership training program to develop my leadership skills. From there, I recruited other deaf people from Mexico to come here to Gallaudet University and take leadership and self-advocacy training for 1 week. Afterwards, they'd go back to Mexico and train other deaf people in leadership skills. I'm very grateful to have received that scholarship and very thankful for the Bummy Leadership Award.
We've talked a lot about his accomplishments, his impact, and his influence. But I can't help but think this guy is no bum, really.
Haha, that's true. I think that's a good way to wrap up this segment on Bummy. We're going to have one more commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about then and now. So please stay and watch the commercial.
As you know, there have been so many changes here on Kendall Green. We have spent the last 20 years building many new buildings, and if you haven't had the chance to see the many changes, we would like to take this opportunity to show you some in this next video clip. The Hall Memorial Building, HMB, was the hub of our classes and many different activities that were hosted here on campus before the Jordan Student Academic Center was built. I remember I took all of my classes there when I was a student. Did you all have the same experience?
Yes, I had classes there. SBG meetings were also held there, class registration. I would go there for Sunday night movies and a lot of other activities when I was a student.
One of my favorite memories of HMB is that every year during new student orientation, we would sort of pick on the new students a little bit. During dinner, one of the team leaders would come up and flash the lights and say, "Okay, we have a really important meeting tonight at 7 o'clock. You need to go to HMB room 250. And the students knew they needed to get there. When they got to HMB room 250, they discovered it was a bathroom.
Another building, Hughes Gym, was also built in 1950 and demolished in 1999. It was primarily used for playing basketball and swimming. People have a lot of special memories of Hughes Gym. Can you tell us why?
Yes, Hughes Gym was used in many different ways, but it was primarily for varsity sports. It was also used for intramural sports, and I remember on occasion there was a deaf club basketball tournament that was held there. Students gathered there for many different kinds of events. One historical moment was during the Deaf President Now protest. All of the students gathered in Hughes Gym every evening. They had rallies and presentations, and they would do the planning for the next day. It really brought us all together.
Oh, I see. So that's why Hughes Gym is dear to so many people.
And now in that space is the Sorensen Language and Communication Center. It's a 4-story building that's really unique. It's the first building that uses the deaf space concepts along with student input for its design. It's also the first LEED certified building on campus. That means it uses environmentally conscious materials and systems. I really want to thank Sorensen for making that building possible.
I'd like to ask Fred to share some of the newer projects that are up and coming here at Gallaudet.
Yeah, there have been many exciting changes on campus, and we have more to come, but I'll share just a couple of insights with you. We just finished the new residence hall, the LLRH6. LL in the name stands for Living and Learning. And that's a new concept in dormitories where you mix residence hall space and classrooms. Students use it for other purposes as well. This semester, we're starting the renovation of some of the houses on Faculty Row that were called houses 2, 3, and 4. We have Fay, Ballard, and Dennison houses there next to the president's residence. Dennison is the first theme-based residence hall. Up to 15 students can live there throughout the year. They host programs, a faculty member lives there with them, and it's been very successful. The other 2 houses on Faculty Row are also going to become dormitories. It's always been called Faculty Row, and now students and faculty are going to be living there again. We're going to start those renovations soon, and they'll be ready in the fall of 2013. Other exciting changes are related to academics. We're going to be expanding the ASL lab in the SLCC. We have a lot of students who come during the summer for training to become ASL teachers. So we're going to be expanding the lab facilities for that program. It will be ready in the summer of 2013. The other two projects are in HMB. One for the Department of Interpretation, because enrollment in that program is expanding dramatically and experiencing a lot of growth. And so we're going to be expanding into HMB. Finally, we're going to be expanding our science laboratories. It's going to be an almost $10 million project over 2 years. The purpose is to bring more discipline and rigor to our sciences. Dr. Hurwitz has called on us to improve our offerings in the science program to give students a greater opportunity to be competitive in the workplace. So those science labs will be ready in 2014. Those are 3 very important changes in academic programs, and we have many more in the pipeline.
Wow, that is very exciting. So for those of you who are alumni and haven't visited campus for quite a while, I encourage you to take some time to come and visit our new buildings during homecoming weekend or in 2014 for our 150th anniversary. Hope to see you there.
This concludes our show. Wow, time went by quickly. We talked about several things: the 25th anniversary of DPN, Bummy Burstein, and Gallaudet then and now. Thank you for joining us. This show will air every day this week at noon and 10 p.m. Eastern Time on GUTV. And remember, this show is yours, so if you have any comments or suggestions, please email us. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon.